Chapter 1. Reasons for exhorting young men. What are the general reasons why young men need specific exhortation? I will mention several of them in order. For one thing, there is the painful fact that there are few young men anywhere who seem to be Christians. I speak without respect of persons. I say it of all, rich or poor, gentle or rough, educated or uneducated, in the city or in the country. It makes no difference. I shudder to think how few young men are led by the Spirit, how few are on that narrow road which leads to life, how few are setting their affections on things above, how few are taking up the cross and following Christ. I say all this with sorrow, but I believe in God's sight that I am saying nothing more than the truth. Young men, you form a large and most important class in the population of this country. But where and in what condition are your souls? Regardless of where we turn for an answer, the report will be one and the same. Let us ask any faithful minister of the gospel and note what he will tell us. How many unmarried young people can he remember who come to the Lord's Supper? Who are the most backward about the doctrines of salvation, the most irregular about Sunday services, the most difficult to draw to weekly Bible studies and prayer meetings, the most inattentive to whatever is being preached? Which part of his congregation fills him with the most anxiety? Who are the Reubens for whom he has the deepest searchings of heart? Who in his flock are the hardest to manage? Who require the most frequent warnings and rebukes? Who cause him the greatest uneasiness and sorrow? Who keep him most constantly in fear for their souls and seem the most hopeless? Depend on it, his answer will always be the young men. Let us ask the parents in any church throughout your country and see what they will generally say. Who in their families give them the most pain and trouble? Who need the most watchfulness and most often disturb and disappoint them? Who are the first to be led away from what is right and the last to remember cautions and good advice? Who are the most difficult to keep in order and bounds? Who most frequently break out into open sin, disgrace the family name, make their friends unhappy, embitter the old age of their relatives, and bring down gray hairs with sorrow to the grave? Depend upon it, the answer will generally be the young men. Let us ask the judges and police officers and note what they will reply. Who frequent the bars and taverns the most? Who are the greatest Sabbath breakers? Who make up riotous mobs and rebellious meetings? Who are most often hauled in for drunkenness, for disturbances of the peace, fighting, stealing, assaults, and the like? Who fill the jails and the penitentiaries? Who are the class which requires the most incessant watching and looking after? Depend on it, they will at once point to the same section. They will say, the young men. Let us turn to the upper classes and note the report we will get from them. In one family, the sons are always wasting time, health, and money in the selfish pursuit of pleasure. In another, the sons will follow no profession and fritter away the most precious years of their life in doing nothing. In another, they take up a profession as a mere form, but pay no attention to its duties. In another, they are always forming wrong connections, gambling, getting into debt, associating with bad companions, keeping their friends in a constant fever of anxiety. Note that rank and title and wealth and education do not prevent these things. Anxious fathers and heartbroken mothers and sorrowing sisters could tell sad stories about them if the truth were known. Many a family, with everything this world can give, numbers among its relatives some name that is never named, or only named with regret and shame. Some son, some brother, some cousin, some nephew who will have his own way and is a grief to all who know him. There is seldom a rich family which hasn't got some thorn in its side, some blot in its page of happiness, some constant source of pain and anxiety, and often, far too often, the true cause is the young men. What shall we say to these things? These are facts, plain facts, facts which meet us on every side, facts which cannot be denied. How dreadful this is! How dreadful the thought that every time I meet a young man, I meet one who is in all probability an enemy of God, traveling on the wide road which leads to hell, unfit for heaven. Surely, with such facts before me, will you not wonder that I exhort you? You must allow that there is good reason. In the second place, death and judgment are waiting for young men, even as it waits for others, and they nearly all seem to forget it. Young men, it is appointed for you to die, and no matter how strong and healthy you may be now, the day of your death is perhaps very near. I see young people sick as well as the elderly. I bury youthful corpses as well as aged. I read the names of persons no older than yourselves in every graveyard. I learn from books that, excepting infancy and old age, more die between 13 and 23 than at any other period of life. And yet you live as if you were sure at present not to die at all. Are you thinking you will attend to these things tomorrow? Remember the words of wise King Solomon, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." "Serious things tomorrow," said a heathen to one who warned him of coming danger, but his tomorrow never came. Tomorrow is the devil's day, but today is God's. Satan cares not how spiritual your intentions may be and how holy your resolutions, so long as they are fixed for tomorrow. Oh, give no place to the devil in this matter. Tell him, "No, Satan, it shall be today, today." All men do not live to be patriarchs like Isaac and Jacob. Many children die before their fathers. David had to mourn the death of his 2 finest sons. Job lost all 10 of his children in one day. Your fate may be like one of theirs, and when death summons, it will be vain to talk of tomorrow. You must go at once. Are you thinking you will have a convenient season to consider these things some day in the future? So thought Felix and the Athenians to whom Paul preached, but it never came. Hell is paved with such fancy and foolish notions. Better make sure work while you can. Leave nothing unsettled that is eternal. Run no risk where your soul is at stake. Believe me, the salvation of a soul is no easy matter. All need a great salvation, whether young or old. All need to be born again. All need to be washed in Christ's blood. All need to be sanctified by the Spirit. Happy is that man who does not leave these things uncertain, but never rests till he has the witness of the Spirit within him that he is a child of God. Young man, your time is short. Your days are but a span long, a shadow, a vapor, a tale that is soon told. Your bodies are not brass. Even the young men, says Isaiah, shall utterly fall. Your health may be taken from you in a moment. It only takes a fall, a fever, an inflammation, a broken blood vessel, and the worm would soon feed upon you. There is but a step between you and death. This night your soul might be required of you. You are fast going the way of the earth. You will soon be gone. Your life is all uncertainty. Your death and judgment are perfectly sure.